joining us now, the sideline reporter on the Kansas State Radio Network, as well as play-by-play voice on a lot of other events, including baseball and women's basketball. Involved with some men's basketball broadcasts as well. All of that on radio and television. He's a mega Wildcat star, and also a banking executive as well. I mean, this guy, I multitasked last hour. This guy multitasks every hour of every day. We're talking about the one and only Matt Walters. Hey, Matt.
God love you. You are a piece of work, man. Don't ever call me a megastar again. I am just Jack Sixpack. I put them on like you do, and I take them off like you do. I just fill them a little differently than you do.
You know what? I'm kind of wasting away. I'm on a salad diet during this. I'm doing two things. I'm eating salad a lot and trying to lose a little. And then I haven't shaved since this thing started. No shave, no haircut. So I look a little bit like, next thing you know, I'm going to be talking to a volleyball that I named Wilson.
Yeah. Well, kudos to you, because I've been trying to drop a little myself, and salad's a big part of that. I'm trying to keep my doctor off of my back and my wife off of my back. So, this is just weird, Robert. There's no other way around it. I don't know that there's a better word to describe what's going on, but always love hooking up with you. So let's get to it.
All right, let's. I asked this at the end of my conversation with John Morris. I'm going to start this with you. Manhattan, Kansas is one of my favorite places to go in the league. I like the town. It's a college town. Aggieville is ultra cool. My wife was with me the last time. I think she came the last time we played K-State. In fact, yeah, she was up there in the press box when we were all conversing before the game. And I took her to Aggieville the night before, and the pep band came in the restaurant we were eating in, and they're playing, the K-State Spirit songs. And she goes, "This is cool." I said, "Yeah, I told you all the years. Manhattan's a place I like to go to. It reminds me some of Stillwater, and it's got that feel to it." What kind of feel does it have right now during the pandemic?
Oh, our town's hurting, Robert. Like most towns, you hope in the long run that the businesses, the small businesses, especially, can survive. With what I do in my, let's say, 8 to 5 job, it's difficult to see what's going on with some businesses. But yeah, I mean, it's weird driving down Points, which is the main street of Manhattan, and you just don't see the traffic. Our malls virtually shut down. Schools obviously shut down. I mean, it's odd, and your heart hurts. There was something cool that was put together right after this got started to try and assist, and it was called MHK Together. As a website where people could go buy $50 gift cards to not just restaurants, but businesses in the hospitality world, and other lines of business as well. And I think that raised. It ended yesterday, unless I've missed something, but it raised about a $250,000. I know I bought, I think it was 4 gift cards recently, and most people around town have done stuff like that. So. To me, it's a case of, how can I help? What can I do for somebody else? My family's fine. Yeah, it's a struggle. Missing the baseball diamond like crazy. Haven't been able to get to the golf course yet, but there are bigger things to be concerned about.
No doubt, and here's the other part of it. The spirit. And like you said, you'd be normally calling a lot of baseball games right now. In Stillwater, we were going to have the opening of the brand new O'Brate Stadium, and that didn't happen. On top of that, Oklahoma State was scheduled to with their tennis center. They were going to host the NCAA men's and women's Division I championships, as well as the Big 12. All those things. I mean, everybody's got their stories,
Yep.
that go by the wayside. Um, what are you hearing from campus? What are you hearing from the leadership within the athletic department? Um, obviously, spring football was scrapped as well. So, what are you hearing maybe from the football staff as well about how they're dealing with this?
Well, they're just trying to do what they can when they can. Whether it's football or basketball or whatever the sport is, they're having Zoom calls with their teams and student athletes and trying to stay involved with them and keep up. Trying to help the youngsters however they can. That's your question, Robert, and you know this. Your question, we could talk about this question alone for the next 30 minutes at least. You're talking about finances coming into play. You're talking about not just the well-being of the student athlete physically, but mentally. That's a big part of what's going on now. So whether you're talking about the AD at K-State and Gene Taylor or the various ADs around the conference, there's a lot of things that they're trying to keep tabs on. I will say this, what struck me most, and I did not get to hear the conference call, but what struck me really yesterday was Bob Bowlesby's quote about if we're not in college, we're not playing games. I'm paraphrasing, but I read that about 6 or 7 times yesterday and thought, man, it was just crazy enough with no Big 12 basketball tournament, no NCAA tournament, no, just a little bit of baseball and tennis and golf and all the other sports. I mean, imagine if we get to late August and early September and every college football stadium, whether it's Langston University or NEO or Oklahoma State or the Big House. I mean, imagine just if those stadiums are empty, if our stadiums in the Big 12 are empty, it's mind-blowing to me. I've not come to grips with that, nor have I come to grips with, okay, we're going to play games, but there's going to be nobody in the stands or a very limited amount of people, family and friends in the stands. I have not been able to wrap my head around that yet, and I don't know if I'll be able to.
Well, and here's the thing, because when you do a talk show like this, people expect you to throw out your opinions, and I have. Here, with Oklahoma State, Mike Gundy had a teleconference with the media over a week ago.
Right.
He said all the right things, but then when the Q&A started, he talked about we got to have a plan, and he talked about we got to get football going. We need it for the economy and all this other. And some of those comments got thrown out nationally, and he took a beating nationally.
Right.
I heard the athletic director the week before say some of the same things, maybe not quite as direct, and hardly anybody batted an eye. And then I've heard other people around the country say things and hardly bat an eye. Here's my opinion, and I mean, if people want to get mad, you can get mad. Is this about money? You damn right it's about money. I mean, when I don't know what K-State's situation is, but football at Oklahoma State makes probably about 80 to 85% of the revenue for the athletic department, which means the other sports aren't doing much playing if football doesn't bring in the dough. So, yeah, it is about money. And then you know what? It's about what I do. What we do is a part of us. Mike Gundy's a football coach. Chris Kleiman's a football coach. Matt Walters is a sideline reporter and broadcaster. Robert Allen's a sideline reporter and broadcaster. So am I going to hope that I get to do what I do? Yes. Now, do I have any control over it? No. None of us do right now.
Nope.
But I was going to ask you, I mean, what are your? I mean, if you were just thinking in your mind, your best guess based on what you hear from Gene Taylor and from people you know on campus that are tapped into people around the country that know more than any of us do about what's going on. Where do you think we are in September and October? At home?
Well, uh, great question, and I'm going to answer it in a multitude of ways. One, K-State as a whole, and I'm not just talking athletics. I'm talking K-State
Right.
as a whole has extended, gatherings of, no more than 10, no
Right.
in-person stuff. Summer classes are going to be online. All that stuff has been extended now through the end of July. Through the end of July, okay? Typically, the end of July is when the football players and the fall athletes are reporting for the fall athletics, whether it's Stillwater, Manhattan, or Timbuktu.
Sure.
So there's that's out there. I go back to a quote from Kirk Herbstreit here. I would say within the last 2 to 3 weeks when all this got rolling was, he said he would be absolutely shocked if there's games in September and October. The longer this goes on, to me, Robert, it really makes you wonder if to be in stadiums in the fall. I'm nowhere close to being a doctor. You don't want this to start to lessen and go down, and then there to be a resurgence. But you also, at some point, I hope we can get back to whatever that new normal is. Get back to life at some point, but. I just think you got to be smart about it. I don't have the first clue if we're going to be in stadiums in September or October. I hope so for everybody's benefit, but I will say this. Let's just say whether it's Stillwater or Manhattan, and we are playing football games in September. Do you think the crowds are going to have the places filled up? Some will say yes, just because of how much they're craving it and they want it. Some are going to say no because the fact that there's going to be big crowds and they don't want to catch anything. So I hope so. I'm like you. I hope like crazy we can get to that point where we're going to be able to get back to normalcy come the fall. But boy, howdy, it's April 16th, and that seems like forever away.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I just got finished saying in the last segment before we went to the top of the hour is, you know, I just, I wish people would, Kirk Herbstreit said what he said, and that's fine, and yesterday there was a lot of people judging the teleconference or
Right.
the the situation where Mike Pence, the vice president, met with the college top administrators, college football playoff committee, and all the commissioners, which is made up by the commissioners and Notre Dame's AD. People are making decisions off that. What I'd like to do is I'd like to get to the point where people quit making decisions, and I just made you to I just asked you for a prediction, and you gave me the best Matt Walters. I hope so, but I don't know, and that's all Robert Allen can do. Just let's evaluate this as it goes and see what happens rather than try and make decisions on April 16th.
Right.
Let's
So
wait till
Robert,
let's wait.
let me
Yeah.
ask you something because and you know this, I try to follow everything imaginable as best I can. But so here in Kansas, our stay-at-home order has been extended into early May. What's the case in Oklahoma? Is there a stay-at-home order in effect right now till the end of April, or what?
There is no stay-at-home order in effect.
Okay.
It is still a suggestion. We're one of the few states where the governor has not made it an order.
Right.
Now,
And here in
almost
Kansas,
everybody's
that's
doing it.
happened.
So
Here in Kansas, that's happened,
here's
and I would say in our area, social distancing and all that stuff is pretty good. I mean, every so often, maybe I don't know, maybe once a day or 3 or 4 times a week, I'll see something here in town where we want to say, hey, disperse and don't be doing that. But I mean, everything is shut down. Like our high school football stadium, that's got a nice track and people walk, and Seco Park's a great place to be. You can't walk around. Can't walk around the track at the high school football stadium anymore. I mean, it's. I respect what's happened here in Kansas. I know there are plenty of people that don't agree with it, but boy, howdy, we've never seen anything like this. And I'll tell you, that's part of what's, I guess in some respects, I'm dealing with it. It's driving me nuts. I'm home like all the time now. I know it's killing my wife. She wants me out of the house, but I don't want to catch this stuff. I don't.
No.
I know a couple of people through relationships and friends that I have who have it, but man, I don't want it. I'm not, to be honest, I'm not worried about getting it, but I can tell you, I want no part of it after what I've seen.
No, and you know, you mentioned that last weekend for Easter. You know, that's always a big family deal for us because Zach has his birthday right before my son. You know how close I am to him, and then our grandson, his birthday is right behind his dad, so he's 5 years old. So, you know,
Yep.
Zach even called and said, "Hey, can we come down and we have a family?" And my wife and I said no because that's not good. We can't. You know, you guys have been in Miami. Unfortunately, Ottawa County, where they live, has had one positive coronavirus victim, not
Mm-hmm.
death, just one case
Case,
in that
right.
county. Yeah. Now here in Oklahoma County, you know, it's pretty heavy, but the governor even came out yesterday. The beds that they were expecting to use, they haven't used nearly as many. So he's calling for elective surgeries to start taking place again at the end of this month, going into May.
Yeah, and
So I
I'm
mean,
thinking that here in Manhattan that may start in May, but again, I say that could start, but I'm not holding my breath because I think here in Riley County, which is again for those who may not know, kind of tucked away in northeast Kansas, I think we were at like 23 or 24 positive COVID-19 cases here in our county. So it's one day at a time, and what you said a moment ago is you got to go with the flow with this thing. You got to be out in front of it as best you can, be smart, be prudent, and at least in this area in northeast Kansas and in our state, I think that's what's happening right now.
let me Matt Walters with us from Kansas State, from the K-State Radio Network, and also has the dual role of being a you know, banker in Manhattan. So he's probably the smartest of all of us in the broadcast fraternity in the Big 12 because he's also a
Stop
banker.
it.
Although I'm gonna guess right now, being in the banking industry is not. That's not the. You probably have a hard time going to sleep sometimes because you are on the front lines of seeing some of the problems, like you said, of small business and people that are struggling from the economic standpoint.
It's been that way for the last 3 weeks. I started working from home because of what our bank put in place. I started working at home mid to late March, Robert, and I worked at home for almost
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks. And then because of what our workflow was going to be when the Paycheck Protection Program went into effect, and I got called back to the office, and I've been here for the last 2 weeks. And I'll tell you, in the 3 week time span, I never ever dreamed years ago that I would work at a bank, but I never dreamed of what I would encounter here in the last 3 weeks because it has been just like in radio, man. It's been long hours. It's been a lot of positives, fair share of frustrations, and it's a case of I try to do, my boss tries to do, our team here at our bank tries to do the right thing and help everybody imaginable in terms of customers. And I've it's funny. 2 days ago, the bank I work at is Commerce Bank, and it's got a pretty good sized footprint. And I got a call from a lady in mid-Missouri that was having some difficulty, and I have no idea how the call wound up getting to Manhattan. But I did everything I could to help her out, knowing that the clock was ticking, and finally got her directed to the right person where she lives. And I think she got in under the wire because the money ran out today, and hopefully Congress gets its act together and gets round 2 going here before long. But yeah, it's been interesting. It's been difficult. It's been long hours. It's been an odd diet. It's been not much of a life, so to speak. But hey, deal with it, and here we go.
This is a long way to get to this question, but you brought it up a little bit, and it's been a part of this show today. And Bob Bowlesby said we can't have sports on college campuses unless our campuses are open. And far be it from me to disagree with Bob Bowlesby, but from an economic standpoint, from a standpoint of people need something to make them feel better, and we obviously know people love their sports. Would you, I'm just asking Matt Walters' opinion. Would you be okay broadcasting on the sidelines a game? You probably would have to get tested in order to be on those sidelines where the stadium is empty and you have a limited, maybe just family members. And I know you guys have suites. Maybe you could operate your suites. But would you be comfortable broadcasting a game in a stadium where there's not a crowd?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Would I
me
like
too.
it?
And you know what?
No,
I wouldn't like it.
I would hate it.
I'd miss the Wabash Cannonball, and that's not even my team.
It's interesting that you asked that, Robert, because this morning on my way to work, I was trying to imagine doing just that, meaning the energy, because you, just like I do, I mean, you feed off the energy, whether it's positive energy and Chuba Hubbard just busted one for 90 yards, or Skylar Thompson just threw a 90-yard touchdown pass, or somebody gets blown up and there's a fumble and they take it back for a touchdown. I mean, you and I feed off that energy, good or bad, and I can't imagine what that would be like, because you and I have to raise our voices. You and I there are a lot of things that
we wouldn't have to do it without a crowd.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to do it. I mean, we'd be whispering. So I would do it in a heartbeat. I wouldn't mind getting tested in the least. But yeah, I mean, I would. This has nothing to do with your question, but I don't do it all the time. But I'm giving blood on Sunday. Our church is not functioning in terms of you can't be in the sanctuary. We're watching church online every Sunday morning, but there's a blood drive, and you bet your orange and black I'm going to be there to give blood on Sunday. And part of the reason, one thing, and I wish more people would do that. One thing I love now is you find out where your blood goes. And the last blood that I donated wound up in Oklahoma and helped somebody in Tulsa. So, that's just a little part that I can do. But you bet I would without a doubt be willing to broadcast from an empty stadium. And you know what? You said something about suites. I would be uncomfortable if I was in a suite. I would want to be on the field. I would not want to do it from inside.
No, and I think what I was saying is, suite holders could probably, which would give the schools, because here's the thing that I don't want people not to talk about the finances that are involved here. You ask the players, the student athletes, they want to play. I mean, if it's safe and they can play and feel like they're not going to be subject to getting the virus from blocking the guy in front of them from the other team. They want to play,
Yep.
And the universities, if they're going to have any other sports outside of football, need that from a financial standpoint. But what
the university doesn't want, is you play that game and that offensive lineman catches it from somebody on the other team, and you know what word I'm going to drop. That young man gets sick with COVID-19, and then the word lawsuit pops up.
You're
because
right.
that's what our society is. We got to sue every 5 minutes, and they in no way want something like that to happen.
No,
And I totally get that.
no. That's why I could even see if we have college football, I see it being very regional. I don't see non-conference games. I could see it holding off until October, like some of the administrators. But again, here's what I want. Let's wait. Let's do everything we can to help stop this and contain it, and then let's get to the point where a decision needs to be made and use all the information we have at the time to make the right decision, or at least
Right.
the best decision possible. So, and hopefully that's the way this will go.
I'm on board with you.
I can live with that. So, hey, best to you and your family, and enjoy the salad. Here's the thing. I've discovered there's more than one kind of lettuce. I grew up on iceberg, but now my wife's got me. I'm eating the romaine. I'm eating
Yep.
a lot of spinach,
Yep.
of spinach, and so yeah, I'm discovering all kinds of ways to make different salads. So
What
it's
kills
all
me,
good.
Robert, is I'd prefer I prefer the buffalo chicken salad because I'm a wings connoisseur as opposed to the grilled chicken salad. But if you go the Caesar route and you don't just dump the dressing all over it and you kind of dip the chicken in the Caesar
Sure.
a little bit, then that's going to work for you. Trust me.
Yeah, we do chef salad one day, a little grilled chicken the next, and see, I just noticed this morning. I said, "Where did this Olive Garden Italian dressing come from?" She goes,
Oh
"I
my
just
God.
got that
Yeah, that's awesome.
She goes, "I just got that yesterday. We got to change things up." So
Yep.
yeah, she's thinking about me. So
I
hey,
am
Maddie,
too, brother.
take care, Bubba.
You bet. Take care, everybody in the Stillwater region. Hopefully we'll chat / see you before long, Robert A.
I hope so. I hope we're meeting on a field in the fall, and maybe even before then. So take care.
All right, likewise. Good to talk to you.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Matt Walters from K State. And